Today we will study the fourth chapter from our textbook. The name of the chapter is From the Diary of Anne Frank. Now, here, before you read, let us come to know about Anne Frank. She was born 12th June 1929 and died 1945 March or February. She was a German born a Jewish girl who wrote while hiding with her family and four friends in Amsterdam, which is in Holland, during the German occupation of the Netherlands in World War II. Her family had moved to Amsterdam after the Nazis gained power in Germany, but were trapped when the Nazi occupation extended into the Netherlands. As persecutions against the Jewish population increased, the family went into hiding in July 1942 in hidden rooms in her father Otto Frank's office building. After 2 years in hiding, the group was betrayed and transported to the concentration camp system where Anne died of typhus in Bergen-Belsen within days of her sister Margot Frank. Her father Otto, the only survivor of the group, returned to Amsterdam after the war ended to find that her diary had been saved. Convinced that it was a unique record, he took action to have it published in English under the name The Diary of a Young Girl. The diary was given to Anne Frank for her 13th birthday and chronicles the events of her life from 12 June 1942 until its final entry of 1st August 1944. It was eventually translated from its original Dutch into many languages and became one of the world's most widely read books. There have also been several films, television, and theatrical productions, and even an opera based on the diary. Described as the work of a mature and insightful mind, the diary provides an intimate examination of daily life under Nazi occupation. Anne Frank has become one of the most renowned and discussed of the Holocaust victims. This is basically information about Anne Frank. She was basically a Jew, and when Hitler came to power, as we all know, he killed lots and lots of Jewish people in the gas chambers. Anne Frank was able to escape from Germany to Netherlands, which is also called as Holland, but unfortunately the Nazis extended their power to Netherlands, and there they remained in hiding for 2 years, but then somebody betrayed them and they were taken to those German camps wherein she died a short while after her sister Margot Frank died. But somehow her father Otto survived and he was able to come back, and he discovered that the book which Anne Frank used to write has been saved, and he got it published under the name of The Diary of a Young Girl and has been translated into many languages of this world, and one of the most widely read books is this, From the Diary of a Young Girl, and it is described as the work of a mature and insightful mind. Basically, what she wrote in the diary, day to day activities which used to happen during the Nazi rule, and she became one of the most famous and discussed of the Holocaust victims. Now we start with the explanation of the lesson. First, I'll read. Writing in a diary is a really strange experience for someone like me. Not only because I have never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that later on neither I nor anyone else will be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing and I have an even greater need to get all kind of things off my chest. Now, Anne Frank straight away starts with the line, writing in a diary is a strange experience for somebody like me. Why? Because she had never written anything before, and also because it seemed that neither she nor anyone else will be interested in the thought process of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. Then she says, well, it doesn't matter. I just felt like writing, and I have an even greater need to get all those things kind of my chest. Means she had so many things she wanted to say, but whom to say? So she thought that instead of telling to somebody else, people don't have time also, better to write, so that that weight which she had on her chest, so many things she wanted to say to, would get off her chest, and she would be relieved of all those things which she wanted to tell to but couldn't tell, so put them in written form. Paper has more patience than people. I thought of this saying on one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listless, wondering whether to stay in or go out. She says paper has more patience than people. Of course, papers don't have life, so they have more patience. If you want to write something on paper, the paper will not fight with you that don't write on me. You can write as much as you want. People perhaps might not have that much amount of patience. If they find something interesting, then they will sit and keep on listening to you. But if it is boring, nobody will be interested. So she says that I thought of this saying on one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listless, wondering whether to stay in or go out. Now, when did she come up with this saying that paper has more patience than people? It was one of those days when she was feeling bored, totally doesn't know what to do at home, whether to stay at home or go out, and with her chin in her hands, she was thinking what to do. At that time, she came up with this saying that paper has more patience than people. I finally stayed where I was brooding. Yes, paper does have more patience. And since I am not planning to let anyone else read this stiff backed notebook grandly referred to as diary, unless I should ever find a real friend, it probably won't make a difference. And then she says that I finally stayed where I was. Brooding is to think. She didn't go out. She was thinking whether she wants to stay in or go out. Finally, she stayed where she was. And then she said, yes, paper has more patience, because paper did not go anywhere. It was just lying in front of her. And since she says she was not planning to let anyone else read what she was writing in that notebook, stiff backed notebook, which we refer to as diary, unless she says I would really find a good friend, a real friend, she was not going to let anyone read it. It probably would not make much of a difference if anybody read or no. Why? Because this diary which she was writing was more for her own personal needs rather than showing it to someone, except and until she made a real friend who would understand what she was going through and what she had written in that book. Now I am back to the point that prompted me to keep a diary in the first place. I don't have a friend. Now she says, why I started to write a diary. Coming back to that point, she says, I don't have any friends. So, a real friend. She might be having friends, but she didn't have a real friend with whom she could share everything that she wanted to. That is why she started to write a diary. Let me put it more clearly. Since no one will believe that a 13-year-old girl is completely alone in the world, and I am not, I have loving parents and a 16-year-old sister, and there are about 30 people I can call friends. I have a family, loving aunts, and a good home. No, on the surface, I seem to have everything except my one true friend. She says, let me put it more clearly. Nobody would believe that a 13-year-old girl is completely alone in the world. She says, I am also not alone. I have my parents who love me a lot. I have an elder sister. And there are about 30 people whom she can call her friends. Plus, she has a family of loving aunts, a good home. On the surface, she says, I seem to have everything. But there is a problem. She doesn't have a true friend. All I think about when I am with friends is having a good time. I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary everyday things. We don't seem to be able to get any closer, and that's the problem. Maybe it's my fault that we don't confide in each other. In any case, that's just how things are, and unfortunately, they are not liable to change. This is why I have started the diary. Now she says she doesn't have any true friends. Now, why does she say so? Previously, she told that she has 30 friends whom she can call as friends. But she says, all I think about when I am with friends is having a good time. This is what she thinks. I should have a good time when I am with my friends. And she says, I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary everyday things. And when she is with her friends, normally what will we talk? Everyday things, ordinary things. There won't be any secret sharing or anything like this. And because of this everyday talk, she doesn't get any closer to any of her friends, and that is her problem. She says that is my fault perhaps. This is what she says. Why? Because she says I don't confide in each other. They don't confide means they don't share their secrets that easily with their friends. And she says the problem may be with me because I don't think all those 30 people whom she calls as friends to be real friends, or she doesn't trust them to share intimate things which normally you will not share that easily with others. She says the fault is with her. In any case, that is how things are, and unfortunately things are not liable to change. That is her nature, and you can't change your nature that easily. And that is why, because she can't confide or share her secrets with her friends, she has started to write a diary. To enhance the image of this long awaited friend in my imagination, I don't want to jot down the facts in this diary the way most people would do, but I want the diary to be my friend, and I am going to call the friend Kitty. Now she says, I want to enlarge the image of a long awaited friend. She wants a friend who is a true friend of her, with whom she can openly share everything. But since she has not been able to do so, which is her in her imagination, she says, I just don't want to write down everyday facts in my diary the way most people do. But she says, I want this diary to become my friend, my best friend, and I'm going to call this best friend of mine Kitty. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were to plunge right in, I would better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so. She says, nobody will understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were to straight away start writing it. To plunge into means to straight away start writing about me and Kitty. Nobody will understand. So she says, I better give you a brief sketch of my life. Though I dislike doing it, but I will tell you about my life. My father, the most adorable father I have ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. My sister Margot was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926. I was born on 12th June 1929. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. My father emigrated to Holland in 1933. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September, while Margot and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother. Margot went to Holland in December, and I followed in February, when I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margot. She talks about her family, her father, the most adorable father. This is what normally you also will tell, that my daddy is the most adorable daddy in this world or the world has ever seen. Daddy got married when he was 35 and her mother's age was 25, and then that was in Germany. Then her sister Margot was born in 1926 and Annie was born 1929, 12th June. Till the age of 4 they lived in Frankfurt in Germany. Then in 1933 her father, he migrated to Holland, shifted to Holland, and his mother also went with him. Both went together. Now Margot and Annie, they were left behind with their grandmother to stay in Aachen. Margot went to Holland in December. Remember, their parents had gone in September. The elder sister went in December, and in February Anne Frank was taken. And when she reached Holland, she was plunked, they are saying over there, on the table. Plunked on the table means to be kept in a casual manner somewhere. She says, I was put on the table as a birthday gift to my elder sister. So I came there as a birthday gift for my elder sister, Margot. I started right away at the Montessori nursery school. Straight away when she went there, she started her KG. KG is Montessori. Over here we say it as KG, that is kindergarten. It is Montessori school, your initial years of study that you start your studies with. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form, and then when she became 6 years old, this is when she came in the first standard. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Cupras, the headmistress. At the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. Now, when she was in sixth standard, her teacher was Mrs. Cupras. She was the principal of the school, and when she finished at the end of the year, the school got over. She and her teacher both were in tears. Why? Because it was a heartbreak farewell. The girl didn't want to leave the school. Even the principal had become attached to Anne Frank, and that is why when she went there to tell farewell to her, she just could not take it that easily. She was heartbroken. In fact, both of them were heartbroken because of that farewell. And then in the summer of 1941, grandmother fell ill and had to have an operation. So my birthday passed with little celebration. Grandma died in January 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and Grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. Grandma fell ill in the summer of 1941. So she says there was hardly any celebration in her birthday, and then Grandma died January 1942. Anne Frank says nobody knows how much I still remember her and how much I still love her. So her birthday, which came in 1942, it was basically intended to make up for the other, the one birthday which she did not celebrate wholeheartedly because her grandmother had fallen sick in 1941. So this birthday was basically to make up for that birthday, and grandma's candle also was lit along with the rest. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present date of 20th June 1942 and the solemn dedication of my diary. All four are well, and she comes now to the present date of 20th June 1942 and the dedication of her diary, seriously dedicated to diary writing. Now she starts writing her diary Saturday 20th June 1942. She had told that she would address her diary as her close friend with the name of Kitty. So she starts with, Dearest Kitty, our entire class is quaking in its boot. The reason, of course, is the forthcoming meeting in which the teacher decides who will move up to the next form and who will be kept back. Half the class is making bets. GN and I laugh ourselves silly at the two boys behind us, CN and Jacques, who have staked their entire holiday savings on their bet. From morning to night, it's, you are going to pass. No, I am not. Yes, you are. No, I am not. Even G's pleading glances and my angry outbursts can't calm them down. If you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back. But teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on earth. Now, when she starts the diary, starts with a line, our entire class is quaking in its boots. Quaking is to tremble with fear. She says our whole class is nervous and trembling with fear. Why? The reason is that the forthcoming meeting is around the corner, in which the teacher will decide that who will pass and go to the next class and who will remain back. Half the class is already making bets who will pass and who will not pass. GN and I laugh ourselves silly at the two boys behind us, CN and Jacques. The two boys who are behind them, Anne Frank and GN, they are laughing at them. Why? Because they have placed bets. And what are their bets? Whatever they have saved for the entire holiday, that full amount they have put on their bet. From morning to night, everybody is talking the same thing. You are going to pass. No, I am not. Yes, you are. No, I am not. Even G's pleading glances and my angry outburst can't calm them down. These two boys, they are just non-stop. You are going to pass and I am not going to pass. And Frank in the end gets angry on them. G is pleading, please shut up, but they just are not shutting up. Then Anne Frank says, if you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back. This is what she thinks, that 25% of the total number of students should fail. But then she says, teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on the earth. Students, you all know how good or bad you are in studies. But at the end of the year, many of you might be thinking that so and so person will definitely fail this year. He won't be with us in the next year class, but it doesn't happen. Next year, that student is also along with you in the class. That is why she says that you can never predict what teachers will do. So, she says teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on the earth. I am not so worried about my girlfriends and myself. We will make it. The only subject I am not sure about is maths. Anyway, all we can do is wait. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. She says, I am not worried either about myself or my girlfriends. Why? Because she knows we all will make it. But they are afraid of one subject, and that subject, as usual, is maths. However hard you try, in spite of studying maths the whole year, you never get good marks in it. Where you are wrong, you don't know, and then automatically you start disliking the subject. This is what happens when you are not able to score good marks in spite of working so hard, or perhaps you might be on some wrong track. Then you start to dislike the subject, and then you don't get good marks. And which subject is that? Most of the time it is maths. And not only today, years back also was the same problem. And Frank lived 100 years before us. That day also it was the same thing. The only subject that they were afraid of was maths. Anyway, she says all we can do is wait. Why? Because still the meeting has not happened. And till the meeting doesn't happen, they will not come to know how many of them are going to the next class next year and how many of them have to be kept back. Means how many will fail. Till then, they just encourage one another by telling not to lose heart, means not feel disheartened. I get along pretty well with all my teachers. There are 9 of them, 7 men and 2 women. Mr. Keesing, the old fogey who teaches maths, was annoyed with me for ages because I talked so much. After several warnings, he assigned me extra homework, an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. A chatterbox, what can you write about that? I would worry about that later, I decided. I jotted down the title in my notebook, tucked it in my bag, and tried to keep quiet. Now she says, I get along pretty well with all my teachers. She had no problem with any of her teachers. But then there was Mr. Kissing. Now, this Mr. Kissing, she calls him an old fogey. Old fogey means old fashioned person. And he taught maths. And she says he was angry with me, God knows from how many years. From ages he has been angry. Why? Because Anne Frank used to talk a lot in the class. So one day, as punishment, said, I am giving you extra homework. He had warned her many times, but Anne Frank did not improve. Teachers come in the class, they want to teach, and you create a ruckus in the class. So it is but natural teachers will get angry on you. Same thing Anne Frank used to do. So one day, being fed up with Anne Frank, he told that today you will have to write extra homework. And the homework which I am going to give you is an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. She was surprised. Essay on a chatterbox? What can one write on a chatterbox? Chatterbox means one who keeps on talking, putter, putter, putter all the time. Many of you are also like that. In class, you just want to keep on talking. So she thought, what to write about a chatterbox? She said, I would worry about that later. And then she decided that she would jot down the title in her notebook, tucked it in my bag, and tried to keep quiet. Now, since she has been branded a chatterbox, she just wrote down the title in her notebook and tried to sit quietly. Chatterbox can't sit quietly, they are talking non stop. That evening, after I had finished the rest of my homework, the note about the essay caught my eye. I began thinking about the subject while chewing the tip of my fountain pen. That evening, when she had completed her homework, suddenly she thought about the extra homework that was to write an essay on the chatterbox. And she started to think about the subject while chewing on the tip of her pen. Anyone could ramble on and leave big spaces between the words, but the trick was to come up with a convincing arguments to prove the necessity of talking. Now she says anybody could write anything about chatterbox, leaving big spaces between two words to show that how lengthy my essay is. But then she thought instead of doing that, she would write something convincing in that essay, some convincing arguments to prove the necessity of talking. Just think, talking is more important than studying, according to her. She says, I would write such convincing statements in my essay which will prove that it is necessary to talk rather than sit quietly in the class. I thought, and suddenly I had an idea. I wrote 3 pages Mr. Kitsing had assigned me and was satisfied. I argued that talking is a sudden student's trait and that I would do my best to keep it under control. Now she wanted to write down arguments to convince the maths teacher that talking is very important. She thought, and then suddenly she had an idea. What was that idea? She wrote 3 pages, which Mr. Kissing had assigned her to do, and she was satisfied with what she had written. And then she talks with herself. She argued that what was her argument? That talking is the student's trait, and I would do my best to keep it under control. Talking is nothing new for students. That is a quality which you normally see in students. That is why she says it is a student's trait, means a student's quality. That whenever you see students, they are always talking. And she says that I would do my best to keep my talking under control. But that I would never be able to cure myself of the habit, since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more, and that there is not much you can do about inherited traits. She says that I told her that I would keep my talking under control, but she says that she was never able to cure herself of this habit. Why? Because her mother also used to talk as much as she wanted to. If not more than her, they both were exactly the same in talking. And then she says there is not much you can do when you have got inherited those traits. People inherit parents' property. They even inherit parents' habits. And she says, I have inherited the habit of talking of my mother. Her mother is also a non-stop talker. Mr. Kissing had a good laugh at my arguments, but when I proceeded to talk my way through the next lesson, he assigned me a second essay. This time it was supposed to be an incorrigible chatterbox. Now, when Mr. Kissing read her essay the next day, he had a good laugh at the arguments that she had written in favor of talking. And then she says that she tried to talk her way through the next lesson. Suddenly, Mr. Kissing gave her a second essay. She thought that once I have written an essay, he would not further give me any extra punishment. But then he told her, now you write about next essay about an incorrigible chatterbox. Incorrigible means something which cannot be corrected. an incorrigible chatterbox. Now, Mr. Kissing gave her this topic. Why? Because he understood from the first essay that she had argued she wanted to talk and he wanted to correct her, but then he also came to know that this girl cannot be corrected in spite of me wanting to correct her. That is why he gave her the topic, an incorrigible chatterbox. I handed it in, and Mr. Kissing had nothing to complain about for 2 whole lessons. However, during the third lesson, he would finally had enough. Anne Frank, as punishment for talking in the class, write an essay entitled Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. Now, when Mr. Kissing gave her the second essay, she wrote and handed it over. This time there were many arguments in those essays, nothing to complain about. So, for 2 whole lessons, Mr. Kissing didn't complain about anything. She also became like any well behaved girl. But then, during the third lesson, again she started her talking, that non stop talking of us. So, Mr. Kissing, what does he say? That I have had enough. And Frank, and as a punishment for talking in the class, now you will write an essay, and the title of the essay is Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. Basically, he is telling her only that you are Mistress Chatterbox and you only keep on talking quack, 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 quack all the time, like a duck. The class roared. I had to laugh too, though I had nearly exhausted my ingenuity on the topic of Chatterbox. Now the whole class is laughing, and she realized that she is now struck big time. And now she says, exhausted. Why? Because her ingenuity on the topic of chatterboxes had come to an end. Ingenuity means coming up with new ideas regarding what to write about chatterbox, and that had got over. She no longer had any new ideas to write. It was time to come with something else, something original. My friend Sen, who is good at poetry, offered to help me write the essay from beginning to end in verse, and I jumped for joy. Now she had another friend in the class by the name of Sani. She used to write poems, so she told, I will help you in writing this essay in verse form, that is in poem form. And Anne jumped with joy. Yes. Why she jumped with joy? Mr. Kissing was trying to play a joke on me with this ridiculous subject, but I would make sure the joke was on him. She knew that Mr. Kissing is making fun of her by giving her such topics to write on, but she also wants to do the same thing with Mr. Kissing, but up till now she hasn't been. But now she says, I have got a chance to make fun of Mr. Kissing by writing a letter in poetry form. I finished my poem and it was beautiful. It was about a mother duck and a father swan with 3 baby ducklings who were beaten to death by the father because they quacked too much. Luckily, Mr. Kissing took the joke right away. Now, Anne Frank says, I finished the poem and it was beautiful. It was about a mother duck and a father swan with 3 baby ducklings. And these 3 baby ducklings, she says, were beaten to death by the father because they kept on quacking too much. Remember, the father killed those 3 ducklings. Normally, this doesn't happen, that the father killing his or her own children, but this is what this duck did by killing his duckling, and the reason was their non-stop talking. Basically, Anne Frank wanted to tell the teacher, will you kill me too because of my non-stop talking? Luckily, Mr. Kissing took the joke the right way, and for her, Luckily, Mr. Kissing took the joke in a right way, not in a bad way. Otherwise, the situation would have gone out of control in the class, but nothing like that happened. He read the poem to the class, adding his own comments and to several other classes as well. Since then, I have been allowed to talk and haven't been assigned any extra homework. On the contrary, Mr. Kissing's always making jokes these days. She says when I wrote the poem and gave to Mr. Kissing, he read the poem aloud in the class and he even added his own comments. And he went and read this subject in other classes too. Since then, he says, since she wrote this poem, Mr. Kissing has allowed Anne Frank to talk in the class, and no extra homework has been given to her, in spite of her constant talking. On the contrary, Mr. Kissing always is making jokes these days. Up till now, Mr. Kissing was very strict, and because he used to teach maths, now she says Mr. Kissing has changed. He will always crack a joke or two in the class to lighten the atmosphere because maths, you all know, is a very heavy subject. So, just to lighten the subject, he cracks jokes in the class. This is what is the change that has come in the teacher. The teacher wanted change in the student, but it did not happen. In fact, the teacher changed. This is the story of Anne Frank, extracted from the diary of a young girl with slight adaptation.